Hello and welcome. Today we are diving into a really fascinating financial model. We're talking about a system that can unlock, $100 million or more in capital for huge projects. But, and this is the key part, it does it all while getting rid of the very risks that usually come with a deal that big. So, let's see how it's done.
It really is the classic high-stakes question, right? To fund that game-changing project, do you really have to bet the whole company? Well, today we're unpacking an innovative model that was designed from the ground up to solve that exact problem.
And we've got a clear roadmap. First, we'll look at the big problem that institutions face. Then, we'll introduce this revolutionary solution, dig into how it's kept so secure, explore its wild method for creating new value, and finally, see how it all connects to the future of finance.
Okay, so let's set the stage. We're talking about funding on an institutional scale, the kind of money you need to build factories, launch massive tech platforms, or get major infrastructure off the ground.
And this is the fundamental, kind of brutal trade-off. To get your hands on $10 million or more, you've got two bad options. You can either pledge your company's own assets as collateral, which puts everything you've built at risk, or you give up chunks of your company, equity, and with it, a loss of control. It's a tough choice nobody really wants to make.
But what if you could just sidestep that choice completely? This is where a truly revolutionary approach comes into play. It's called the third-party depositor model, and it totally changes the game of who actually takes on the risk. Now, the absolute key to this whole thing is a concept called non-recourse capital, and it's a really powerful idea. All it means is that if something goes south, the lender can only go after the specific collateral that was set aside for that deal. Your company's other assets, your core business, it's all completely protected, like it's behind a firewall.
So how is that even possible? Well, the system brings in what's called a qualified third-party depositor. The easiest way to think of them is like a professional, superpowered financial cosigner. They are the ones who bring the collateral to the table, completely separating the capital you get from the risk you take.
So here's how that dance works. Step 1. The depositor gets a high-quality financial instrument like a CD or MTN, and they pledge it. Step 2. They assign that instrument to the bank. This creates what's called a perfected security interest. That's the legally ironclad backbone of the deal, all governed by the Uniform Commercial Code. And finally, Step 3. Your company gets the cash. Notice what's missing? Your assets. They never even came into the conversation.
Now, I know what you might be thinking. This sounds incredibly complex. But the entire system is built on multiple interlocking layers of safety. It is literally engineered from the ground up to create trust for every single party involved.
The very first layer of that safety is just massive overcollateralization. We're talking 235%. So the third-party depositor doesn't just match the capital you need, they acquire collateral worth more than double that amount. This creates this incredible shock absorber that's built to handle even the most severe market stress.
And that's just the beginning. This whole thing is like a multi-layered defense system. You've got that huge over-collateralization buffer, then you have dynamic management, which is just a fancy way of saying they use real-time monitoring to rebalance assets if they need to. The whole system is stress-tested against major economic shocks. And it's all built on the rock-solid legal foundation of the UCC, which makes every single part of the deal legally certain and totally enforceable.
Okay, so we've established the system is secure, but believe it or not, it gets even more innovative. It actually has a proprietary way of creating new value from assets that most people would consider completely useless or, unbankable.
And this process is called credit mining. It's essentially a pipeline that takes things like, say, an adjudicated court judgment or an affirmed legal claim, assets that are usually just paper sitting in a file cabinet, and it systematically transforms them into structured, tradable, bank-grade financial instruments. It's like financial alchemy.
So here's how that incredible journey works. First, the old paper claim is digitized on a blockchain, creating a permanent, unchangeable record. Second, it's authenticated by civil law notaries, which gives it some serious legal muscle. Third, this newly authenticated claim is tokenized, wrapped up into a digital security. And finally, that token can now be used as real, valuable collateral. It's an amazing path from a dormant piece of paper to live working capital.
So this incredibly robust, legally sound system doesn't just exist in a bubble. It's also designed to be a bridge that connects the world of institutional-grade finance with the cutting-edge universe of decentralized finance, or DeFi.
The best way to think about it is like a two-engine system. The internal engine is all about workflow automation, making sure compliance is perfect, managing audits, and just processing everything with machine-like efficiency. The external engine, well, that's the DeFi integration. That's what lets it plug into global, programmatic liquidity pools for things like staking and lending, but, and this is crucial, it's always under strict, preset policy controls.
So let's bring it all home. Why does any of this matter? Well, it really boils down to 4 key things. First, sovereignty. You get access to capital without giving up control. Second, security. It's built like a fortress with layers of risk management and legal certainty. Third, innovation. This is a real bridge connecting the old world of traditional finance with the new world of DeFi. And finally, compliance. It was engineered from day one for global standards like AML and KYC.
So what we've really looked at today is so much more than just a clever way to get financing. It's a comprehensive model that fuses together legal frameworks, deep risk management, and blockchain technology. And it leaves us with one final big question. Are we looking at the blueprint for how traditional finance and digital assets will finally learn to work together, safely, compliantly, and seamlessly? Thanks for watching.